Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Aimee here. I have just realized that it has been since September that I've done a wrap up. That I have not been talking about the books that I've been reading, even though I took a little hiatus from YouTube until after the first of the year. I still have been reading, so we need to get in. We need to catch up on the wrap-ups. So this is going to be part one of catch up wrap up. Wrap up catch up? Wrap up catch up. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I'm not sure how many parts this is going to be because this will go back to like October apparently. I will though start off not with a bang, but with a DNF, because it actually was the first book of October that I tried to read. If you watched my October or my Vlogtobers, you probably know what I've been reading or what I read in the month of October, but we're gonna go ahead and just re-talk about it here. So I did get 3 books from the library in the month of October. I really need to start doing that again. I started off with The Butcher and the Wren. This is by Elena Urquhart. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. She also has a podcast that she hosts with one of her friends. It's called Morbid, but unfortunately I did DNF The Butcher and the Wren. I didn't get very far into it, so I honestly I don't remember what it was about. Okay, I had to go through the synopsis because I really honestly I don't remember what this was about. This book was about, but it is based in the Louisiana Bayou, and I do believe we were following the point of view of the killer. The story is told through the notorious serial killer and the medical examiner. Elena herself is, I believe, like a medical examiner herself. But yeah, I know I didn't get very far into the book, and I just wasn't into it. And I did try to listen to it as well. I don't think that I like the audio either. I also picked up 5 Survive by Holly Jackson at my local library, just because Holly Jackson is kind of a go-to author for me. Ever since A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I really loved that book and that series just in general. So yeah, 5 Survive sounded really good about these, I believe these group of teenagers were going on their senior trip. And they were driving themselves. They were actually going to, I think it was somewhere in Louisiana, because I remember thinking, this is where you're going for your senior trip. Really, there are so many better places than this place. But it was a group of these teenagers, and they were traveling to this place for their senior trip in an RV, and just everything that could go wrong to stop them from going just went wrong. Someone was out there trying to stop them from going on their senior trip. Someone out there was a sniper, biting them off one by one. So they had to like stay in this RV and figure out how they were gonna make it out of this situation alive. So it does sound pretty good, but the entirety of the book was kind of spent in this RV, and the teenagers kind of going back and forth about what's going on, who should go outside, and it just really didn't hit for me. Although I did give it like a 3.5 stars. Like I said, it was okay. It seemed to have promise, and I do remember really enjoying the ending. The ending had a little bit of a nice little twist to it that I really did enjoy. That's probably why I ended up giving it a 3.5 star. My other library read, and this was a 5-star for me. I really enjoyed this one, and dare say, I think this was up to date my favorite Sherry LaPina book. And this is Everyone Here Is Lying. So in this book we have William and Erin's daughter Avery. She goes missing right at the beginning of the book. There's a little bit of drama right at the beginning of the book. I do remember this book just being sort of really fast-paced, and it was never a dull moment. We get a couple point of views from this story, and everyone has a little backstory about Avery and who could have been responsible, where could she be, and why. I very much enjoyed it. I did also listen to this on audio as I read along, and the audio was fantastic. 5 stars. My next 5-star read was A Male Romance. This is Hopelessly Romantic, and this is by Lauren Blakely. This is part of a duet. This is the first book, and the the two books do go together because our two characters get a second book. So we have TJ, who is in London for work, and while he is there, he meets Jude, who is a Brit and an aspiring actor. They hit it off right away. They end up actually being roommates, which kind of puts a little damper on their relationship. They were hoping to maybe get to know each other a little bit more intimately, but they felt like being roommates wasn't the best way to go, which I disagree, but it works for the story. But the more and more they fight not to be together, the chemistry between them just grows and intensifies, and it is just the best, makes for the best story ever. We have a little bit of a time lapse, or not a time lapse, but just a lot of time goes through the entirety of book 1 and book 2. And their relationship is kind of like up and down, which also really makes just a great love story for these two guys. Which leads us to Here Comes My Man. This is the second book by Lauren Blakely in the hopelessly romantic little duet. So this just continues Jude and TJ's story. Like I said, there is some time that passes through their relationships. At the end of Hopelessly Romantic, events happen to where they end up not seeing each other for a long time, and then we jump into book 2 where they meet yet again, and once again start to reconnect with each other, and they actually have to start fake dating in the second book. And I would say this is like a second chance type of romance as well as we get further into the second book. I enjoyed both stories. Like I said, Jude and TJ just had the best chemistry with each other, and just the drawing their love story out just really worked for these two characters. Highly recommend this little duet. I also listened to it on audio, and the audio is fantastic. We have a cast of characters, so every character has a voice, and I absolutely love it. Then I finally got to Cackle. This is by Rachel Harrison. This is the one and only book I read by Rachel Harrison, because I was told this was probably one of her best ones. Although I did give it a 3-star. I think I was just expecting a lot from this book since it was very overhyped, and I was just underwhelmed by it. We have Annie in this story. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by Mimi here. We have Annie, who moves to a new little small town with a new job. In the beginning, she has a relationship that ends, and she needs to get out of the apartment that they are both living in. It's basically his apartment. So she ends up just like kind of going on to a fresh start. In this little small town, she does meet a woman named Sophie, who she is very intrigued by. Sophie is this elegant type of woman who seems to like own this little town. Everyone seems to highly respect her, but there are those that seem to dislike Sophie a little bit. But like I said, there's something about Sophie that really intrigues Annie, and her and Sophie have just sort of formed this friendship, and Sophie sort of takes Annie under her wing. I did like, the story was okay. I really did enjoy the ending, but the main highlight of the story, and kind of what kept me going, and what just like really like kept me into the story, was the spider named Ralph. And I don't like spiders, but I loved Ralph the spider. Next, I picked up Jason Rekulak's The Last One at the Wedding. This was one of my Book of the Month picks for last year. I gave this one 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. It's not as good as Hidden Pictures. Hidden Pictures is still like one of my top reads, especially, well, it was only other read from this author, but I really enjoyed Hidden Pictures. And this like I said, this was still good, but just not as good. So in this one, we have Frank, who is basically our main character and who we are basically following throughout the story. Him and his daughter Maggie have not spoken in a couple years, I think like 3 years or something like that. One day, just out of the blue, he gets a phone call from Maggie saying that she is getting married and she would very much want him at her wedding and to meet her fiance. Frank is ecstatic. He's so excited to try to reconnect with his daughter and to like get back into her life. There is a lot of detail into this story. A lot we get to know about Maggie. Of course, Frank, who is our main character. His sister Tammy is a hoot. I absolutely loved her. She made me laugh through the entirety of this book. She sort of travels along with Frank because she was also part of Maggie's life as when Maggie was growing up as a child. I don't remember what happened to Frank's wife or Maggie's mother. I'm sure it's in here. I just don't remember it, and I don't have it in my notes, so it must not have been something memorable. But yeah, so Tammy goes with Frank to this wedding, but Maggie is being very standoffish and very vague about details of the wedding, details about her fiance. You know, Frank does get to meet the fiance, but there's something that's not quite right about him. So yeah, like I said, just a lot of details. Once Frank and Tammy get to the location of where the wedding is going to be, Frank starts to dig a little bit deeper into this family that Maggie will be married to. And yeah, it's quite an adventure. But yeah, like I said, 4 stars, very entertaining read. I loved Frank and Tammy. There's also, Tammy also adopts a young girl. She's like a foster parent in this book, and she has a foster in that she travels with to the wedding with Frank, and just the banter between the 3 of them is hilarious. I really enjoyed reading them, and I did also listen as I read along to the story, and I really enjoyed the audiobook for this. Mimi, what are you doing back there? Ignore the chaos in the back. Next, I picked up The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This, at the time, was my second Frida McFadden and my second 5-star for Frida McFadden. Like, how does she do it? These plot twists are insane. I'm addicted. I am addicted to Frida McFadden. So in this story, we have 2 timelines. We have Sydney, who we follow in present time. We also follow Tom in present time, but we also follow Tom. Sorry, I'm getting my T's mixed up. We also follow Tom before. It's just called Before. So we get a little history of Tom and where he comes from. So after a bad date, a date gone wrong, Sydney has a little encounter with Tom, and they sort of start seeing each other, and Tom seems like the perfect boyfriend. He's handsome, he's a doctor, and he practically like saves her from this horrible date that she was on. And then also in present time, one of Sydney's friends is murdered in her apartment. So there's just like the story of this happening, and you know, Sydney trying to figure out what could have happened to her friend. You know, her friend didn't have any enemies, you know, and then we also we're following Tom from before. So what does he have to do with any of this? So yeah, as their stories sort of meld together, you know, we think we know, but Frida twists it all up, and we really don't know what's happening. I gave it 5 stars. The audiobook was fantastic as well for this. Yeah, just another great Frida McFadden. Okay, moving on. I continued my Sapphire Cove series. written by Christopher Rice. This is Sapphire Dawn. This is the 4th book in this series, and Christopher Rice himself narrates the story, which is fantastic. He's writing as C. Travis Rice in this, and so in this 4th installment, I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, this is part like of a whole series. Now, our characters are different in each book, but characters from previous books do make visits, and this 4th book is an outcome of what took place in the 1st book. So I don't want to say too much, but there's a wedding. There's a wedding happening in this book. But this is Donnie and Richard's story. Now, we do meet Donnie in some earlier books. I think do we meet him in book 1? I don't remember which one it is, but Donnie is an ex-porn star. Yeah. And now he sort of runs the porn star studio, and it's a success. So he has a little swag to himself. He has a little confidence to himself. Richard is the wedding planner, basically, and one of our grooms asked Donnie to sort of help Richard, maybe kind of like seduce him and just keep him kind of calm, because Richard seems a little bit high strung. Now, Richard is coming out of is it a marriage? I want to say it's a marriage that he's coming out. He's divorcing. His husband was cheating on him. So he's sort of in a bit of a place himself, but they do meet actually before Donnie is supposed to meet Richard. They do actually have an interaction with each other, and they don't know who each other is. So that sort of adds to their story a little bit. And it also causes a little bit of drama towards the end, you can only imagine. But yeah, this was just a fun book, as these books have been. Great writing. What did I give it? I gave it 4.5 stars. Not my favorite of the 4 so far. I don't know if there's going to be another one or not. There might be another one. And we just follow these two along as they like really get to know each other. You know, Richard really gets to see just how good of a guy Donnie really is, even though he was a porn star and he runs a porn star studio. And, you know, Richard is not as high strung as he seems to be. He's just going through a lot right now. So they sort of help each other out. It was really a touching story. And we also get a little bit of I don't know, some little drama happening at the end, a little mystery sort of happening, a little capturing. It was fun and entertaining. I had the best time. Of course, the narration was fantastic. I highly recommend this series by C. Travis Rice, or aka Christopher Rice, if you have not checked them out yet. Yeah, I can't say any more good things. I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop right there. That'll be the end of part 1 of my wrap-up catch-up. Stay tuned for part 2. As always, thank y'all so much for watching. Hope y'all are all doing well out there. Hugs from me all around, and I'll see y'all very soon in a new video. Bye, y'all.